Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Technology Philosophy. Today I'd like to give an introduction to the French philosopher Jacques Ranciere's essay, The Aesthetic Revolution and Its Outcomes, Emplotments of Autonomy and Heteronomy, published in 2002 in the New Left Review, which concerns the politics of aesthetics. Ranciere opens by framing his topic. There is something called the aesthetic, which incorporates both the art of the beautiful and the art of living. That is, art and life. He finds the original scene of aesthetics at the end of Schiller's 15th letter in Letters on the Aesthetic Education of Mankind, published in 1794. Schiller's claim is that man is only completely human when he plays, and that this play drive, or paradox, is capable of bearing the whole edifice of art and living. Ranciere reformulates this to there is a specific sensory experience, the aesthetic, that holds the promise of both a new world of art and a new life for individuals and the community. There are at least two ways to come to terms with this. First, and least promisingly, the aesthetic illusion is defined as a device to mask the reality that aesthetic judgment is structured by class domination. Second, and more productively, the formulation is true. We have experienced the art of living and play in both totalitarian attempts to make the community into a work of art and the everyday aestheticized life of a liberal society in its commercial entertainment. In a mini-conclusion, then, Schiller's statement is a plot, an effective plot, to reframe the division of the forms of our experience. Plot is meant as plan, not subversion, and has been effective in both theoretical discourses and practical attitudes, and in both modes of individual perception and social institutions. Ranciere's aim is to understand the principle of its efficacy and of its various and antithetical mutations. The question is, how can the notion of aesthetics as a specific experience lead at once to the idea of a pure world of art and of the self-suppression of art in life, and to the tradition of avant-garde radicalism and the aestheticization of common existence? The politics of aesthetics is the politics of the aesthetic regime of art, and is only effective as long as both pieces are included, the art of the beautiful and the art of life. In a previous work, The Distribution of the Sensible, published in 2000, Ranciere sets forth the three regimes of art. In the ethical regime, works of art have no autonomy. They are viewed as images to be questioned for their truth and for their effect on the ethos of individuals and on the community. Plato's Republic is an example. In the representational regime of art, works of art belong to the sphere of imitation and so are no longer subject to the laws of truth or the common rules of utility. They are not so much copies of reality as ways of imposing a form on matter. As such, they are subject to a set of intrinsic norms. The aesthetic regime of art overthrows the normativity of the representational regime and the relationship between form and matter on which it is based. Worlds of art are now defined as such, by belonging to a specific sensorium that stands out as an exception from the normal regime of the sensible, which presents us with an immediate adequation of thought and sensible materiality. Resuming, the politics of aesthetics is the politics of the aesthetic regime of art, and is only effective as long as both pieces are included, the art of the beautiful and the art of life, and grounds the autonomy of art to the extent it connects to the hope of changing life. We cannot just make dismissive statements, as if we are not considering both the art of the beautiful and the art of life. Statements like, the beauties of art must be subtracted from any politicization. The alleged autonomy of art disguises its dependence on domination. Schiller's play drive reconstructs both the edifice of art and the edifice of life as do several other examples. Militant workers of the 1840s break out of the circle of domination by reading and writing not popular and militant, but high literature. The bourgeois critics of the 1860s denounce Flaubert's posture of art for art's sake as the embodiment of democracy. Mallarmé wants to separate the essential language of poetry from common speech, yet claims that it is poetry which gives the community the seal it lacks. Rodchenko takes his photographs of Soviet workers or gymnasts from an overhead angle which squashes their bodies and movements to construct the surface of an egalitarian equivalence of art and life. Adorno says that art must be entirely self-contained, the better to make the blotch of the unconscious appear and denounce the lie of autonomized art. Lyotard contends that the task of the avant-garde is to isolate art from cultural demand so that it may testify all the more starkly to the heteronomy of thought. All these positions reveal the same basic emplotment of an and, the same knot binding together autonomy and heteronomy, volition from inside and action that is influenced by force outside. Understanding the politics proper to the aesthetic regime of art means understanding how autonomy and heteronomy are linked in Schiller. He articulates a threefold relation in the original scene of aesthetics. First, the autonomy staged by the aesthetic regime of art is not that of the work of art, but of a mode of experience. Second, the aesthetic experience is one of heterogeneity, such that for the subject of that experience, it is also the dismissal of a certain autonomy. Third, the object of that experience is aesthetic insofar as it is not or is not only art. As to what constitutes or does not constitute a work of art, Ranciere goes into the sensorium of the goddess. At the end of the 15th letter, Schiller puts the reader in front of the Greek statue Juno Ludovisi, a specimen of free appearance that is self-contained and dwells in itself, qualities befitting a divinity. Also noticeable is the statue's idleness, the figure's distance from any care, duty, volition, or purpose. The qualities of a divinity are the qualities of the statue, which paradoxically means the qualities of what is not a work of art. There is no trace of will or aim. It is what has not been made, what was never an object of will. This is a source of using formulas of the type, this is a work of art, this is not a work of art. The autonomy, the experience of non-possessibility of the spectator. Correspondingly, the spectator who experiences the free play of the aesthetic in front of the free appearance of the statue enjoys an autonomy of a special kind. It is not the autonomy of free reason subduing the anarchy of sensation. It is the suspension of that kind of autonomy. It is an autonomy related to a withdrawal of power. The free appearance stands in front of us, unapproachable, unavailable to our knowledge, our aims and desires. The subject is promised the possession of a new world by this future that he cannot possess in any way. In summary, this has been an introduction to Jacques Ranciere's 2002 essay, The Aesthetic Revolution and Its Outcomes, Emplotments of Autonomy and Heteronomy. His project is The Politics of Aesthetics, which is the politics of the aesthetic regime of art, art for art's sake, which is only effective as long as both the elements of the art of the beautiful and the art of life are included. This politics of aesthetics has been a successful plot, both autonomously and heteronomously, to frame the division of the forms of our experience. Thank you, and please join me next time for another episode of Technology Philosophy.